All right, we're going to start off here. Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you coming to talk with us or listen with us with the other MVPs across the community. My name is Mike Carlo, one of the runners of PowerBI.tips, and this is a kind of a monthly activity we do. We hang out as MVPs and just talk about Power BI and the latest release and talk about some of the features that came out and things that we like, things that we wish maybe were a little bit different, but try and keep it all in a positive light and talk more about the Power BI and the Power BI desktop releases that we see. And with that, I'm going to transition over to our MVPs, and I'll do a quick audio check as we get going here. So I've got the window open. All right. Are you guys able to hear me? Let's do the audio check.
Yeah.
All right, we got you. All right, so and Stefan, go ahead and give me just a little check on our audio. Let's see. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? It's
Excellent.
Steve from the Czech Republic here.
I think I see it coming through. So I'll just do a quick chat in the window here. So for those of you joining online, I'm going to quickly just drop a little note here. If you can hear the audio and you're getting it from the MVPs and myself, just give me a little heads up. And if the audio cuts out for any reason, just send me a little message on the chat window, and I'll try and fix it as quickly as I can. Audio check. Okay. Well, let's kick it off. We got a small group today, just the three of us. It's a Monday. I guess everyone's stuck in meetings and doing other fun things. So first day, it's just going to be the three of us hanging out. Stefan, go ahead. Go ahead and give us a kickoff here. Give us your introduction, where you are based out of, and if you have any upcoming events that you're participating in, please feel free to share those.
Hello, everyone. It's me. It's Steve. I'm MVP from Czech Republic. I'm originally from company Data Brothers, and in a few months, we will be kicking our Power BI Day in Czech Republic. But unfortunately for you, it will be mostly in a Czech. But
we don't get. It's not in English. It's okay.
We're doing some meetups in English with Czech SQL Pass. We know the Czech. We know that SQL Pass has passed, but we still keep the name. And these meetups are in English, and I hope we will kick up next soon. So
awesome.
Be tuned up.
Steven, make sure you send me a link to your meetups, and what I'll do is I'll take that meeting link and I'll put that in the description of this video. So that way people, if they want to catch your meetups, we'll hook them up, and that way they can come listen to some of your meetups. My other super awesome MVP developer guy who likes being in all the code, Rui, is with us today. Appreciate it, Rui. I love your background. You've changed things a little bit. I love it. It's super cool.
Yeah, now I can change colors. And
this is so nice.
when everything gets bad, I change that.
I love it. Well, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on again. Give us a brief introduction. And Rui, are you speaking anywhere and anything upcoming here? Let us know what you're doing.
Yeah. So my name is Rui Romano. I'm from Portugal. Always nice to be here with you guys. Yes, I will be speaking at the Power BI Summit next month, and I don't think I also have another one, but I'm not remembering.
What's your topic at the MVP Summit? What topic are you going to be speaking on?
I will do my hacks and tips session, but I'm also I'm been speaking a lot about monitoring recently, about the new scan APIs. I've done 3 or 4 sessions in the last couple of months.
Awesome.
Just talking about how to monitor your Power BI tenant and how to take value out of that data.
Perfect.
And that's it. I work at DevScope, where we develop some cool Power BI products. Feel free to check it out.
Definitely.
And one more time, always nice to speak about Power BI updates.
Sounds good. I'm with you on that one. Excellent. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you showing up today. So, open discussion. Just anything that any feelings, any thoughts you have around Power BI Desktop coming out this month. It was a bit later than normal. Typically, we see Desktop come out kind of in the early part, usually in the first 12 days or so. We got our release, I think, around the 15th. It was like Thursday or Friday of last week. So, a little bit later this month. anything that hit you right off the gate that you liked about the new desktop release?
Okay.
Yeah. Go.
Okay, I will get it first if I can. I definitely appreciate the change that came in the model view. If you remember the
Yes.
previous month, when we have inside, in the middle of the relation, we have our one or n. Finally, it's back just next to tables. And finally, we can easily find out which relation we are using.
And
That
much
was something that I
credit
was
to
really looking
Microsoft.
for.
Like very big credit to them. Like so they tried
Yeah,
something new, right? They were trying to give the relationship view a little bit more clarity and bring the design a bit more modern. And I last month I gave them a good ripping on. I didn't like it. I was missing it. So. And what you're describing is they're adding for every relationship, there is the connection type between each table.
yep.
And so now we can know like if this is a one to many. They had removed that. It was gone in the new model view. It was always there in the original, but in the new model view, they had removed that feature, and we were kind of like, what's going on? Like, why is this now missing? So can't complain now. It's back. I think there's going to be more improvements. I think in the future, I can foresee them trying to like keep trying to make that relationship view look better, enrich it, give us more information there. So I definitely think this is a move in the right direction. I would totally agree with that one.
Yeah, definitely. And especially they also added up the limited relation into UI. So it was the next thing I was really looking for. Because in this particular moment, it's more easier to identify where when you have some kind of limited relations inside the model.
Yes, I totally agree with that one.
My favorite one this month is on that update they made on the calculate. I no longer need to explain customers why they cannot do our relationship with different columns and explain that they need to do a filter and all that stuff. So
this is a simple change on our side. I mean, from a writing and so the problem kind of was you had to write like really complex filtering just to be able to filter two different tables before running a calculate statement across them now. And now I can arbitrarily pick any column basically from any table and it will automatically know what relationships we're doing and apply the filters to other tables. And I looked at that going, why wasn't that feature already there like years ago? Like I feel like this was like a really basic feature. So I'm with you. I'm really happy that the calculate statement is improved. The syntax is much simpler now. It makes a lot more sense for me writing code to write it this way now. So I really like that feature too.
For experienced Power BI developers, this is not a big deal. But
Correct.
for newcomers, when you are explaining DAX, and then just to do a simple stuff like a OR statement, we need to explain them the filter and all. It's okay. We need to explain that later, and it's important to explain that. But at the beginning, this is doing a simple stuff like this. It's a blocker, and I think that this will make the life a lot easier for newcomers into Power BI and DAX. So I really appreciate it because I do a lot of trainings and I do a lot of workshops on DAX, and it's really welcome for me.
And people freak out when they see that little yellow bar that comes.
Yeah.
You write your first couple DAX equations, and you start introducing calculate, and then you get that yellow bar all over the place. And you're like, what am I doing wrong? It's broken.
Yeah, and sometimes because of that, you could go into a very bad direction because then you get a yellow bar. It's an error, and then you try different stuff, and
random things. Yeah,
random things, and that will be bad.
Totally would agree with that one.
I really appreciate this one.
There's been a couple
this month it's.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say that this month it's not a big flashy update.
I would agree. And it seemed like a lot of stability things, right? The model view is kind of changing back to a bit more solid. The calculate, some just simple things here and there. We did introduce the advanced data selection in Azure Maps visual. Now, I do like map visuals. I don't use them too often, so I haven't had a chance to really play with this. But it seems like from what I read in the blog article, and again, I have to spend more time playing actually with that feature, seems like a pretty good enhancement on top of the map visual.
I really like that because we are doing some reporting up on IoT sensors.
Awesome.
That are based around the towns. It's geomagnetic IoT sensors that try to catch all the traffic on a surface. And in this point, we have really great radial selection, which we can use for another companies when they just want to select a few of them. In this particular moment, they just have to use a control and click on them. But now they can just radially select them, and it's all. It was just a magic when it comes out, and we really strongly pushed to them.
That's awesome.
It was really funny because in this particular moment, this reporting of I'm talking about have about 120 IoT sensors.
Sure.
And for them, when they just want to click or select a few of them, it was really hard. Just hey, okay, I will try a control and click all of them. But it wasn't that easier.
Poor experience having to try and if you click one wrong, it clicks off everything and you get weird. Yeah. This makes a lot of sense.
Definitely.
The whole grabbing and dragging around the area seems to make a lot of sense for me. I would
and now
totally
you can just use a polygon.
Yeah.
You will draw your own, and that's it.
Awesome.
The other cool thing is the changelog, how it exists. There is a changelog on Power BI desktop, which is great, just to see all the changes that they made for the month. Although I only see the February.
Is that one actually in the blog, or they write about that separately now? I think that was a separate blog, right, on that one?
It's a separate.
Yeah. It's not. If you look at their main, like, here's the release for desktop. What you're referring to is like another article they're talking about. They're doing a changelog there.
Yeah.
It's a feature summary of March.
Yes.
Maybe.
But it's a little bit funny because if you try to open some report that have been built in February version, and you try to open it with March version, and it will be stored on Teams or OneDrive,
sure,
you have about 10% chance that you will delete some metadata from the PBX file.
Interesting.
It's slightly different which metadata you will delete.
Sure.
But in one hand, we find out that you can delete whole report pages. On the other hand, you will just delete some kind of type fonts and font sizes.
So do you think is this a bug that you're observing between like the older version and some of the newer stuff?
Yeah, it's a really new bug
okay.
That come out with a March version.
Gotcha.
I still don't know why, but try to be patient with that because some of our customers send us, hey, you send us blank PBX file. We have just data in it, but no report pages.
Gotcha.
Wait, what?
Okay. All right. So something to look out for. So check your reports if you're on the latest version, because there may be a disconnect between the old reports you had in February and now opening them up in March. There might be some difference there. Okay. We'll definitely look for that one. Rui, I don't know if you had a chance to look at these. There's there's a new DAX function. Have you played with if eager?
No, I read the blog around it. It's strange because it always evaluates the two branches, which is something that At core, I completely didn't understand what I read there, because what they say is it's for those cases where the true and the false statement will be evaluated, or the if and the I didn't try it, but I actually didn't understand it clearly where
I'm with
that
you.
will be
In
uh,
in when
benefit.
if I'm writing if statements in my DAX, I mean my typical path is I want it to evaluate some sort of expression, and then I want it to
Yeah,
be done with the expression. I want then to evaluate the if side, or the true side, or the false side, or the other. I guess
yeah,
would be it's true or other. I guess or true or false. I wanted to evaluate those conditions after I'm done, and I'm not quite sure I understand where I'm going to be applying if eager, and if I read the to your point correctly, it's going to evaluate both the true and the false sides together,
yeah,
and then
Yep.
try to then pick the choice on based on those two things. Maybe it's a speed thing that there's a performance thing you can get better if you have both things evaluated, but to me that seems like extra compute, and I want the query engine to prune all those query paths for me, so that way when I say if this is true, only calculate part A, as opposed to calculating the true and the false statements. Again, I haven't found a good use case for it yet. Maybe it's in there somewhere. I'll have to play with it a bit more and see where there's a good use case for this.
yeah. That's the point. That at least for me, it's not clear. But let's wait for Marco and Alberto. They
Yes,
probably blog about
exactly.
it.
Yeah, there'll be a blog series for if eager specifically for that piece as well. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because actually, the, we always want the other way around. We don't want
Agreed.
the two branches to be evaluated.
And that's a
Like,
big problem in the switch statement, right? So for a
yeah,
while there, the switch statement was doing that. Every branch you had in the switch statement, it was evaluating every branch and then returning the result after the evaluation completed. And I think they've fixed it now. I think I remember seeing something maybe that being resolved, or better performance now. But the same thing, right? I have a case statement kind of at the beginning. If this thing is 10, right, then calculate the value for 10 and then kind of switch my way through. And I don't want it to evaluate everything. I only want it to evaluate the portion that I need. So, yes.
yeah. Reading the documentation, they say switching to if eager, it would mean the both branch always get evaluated,
Yeah.
which is strange.
I don't know. There's a use case somewhere. It's just not mine.
Yeah,
The
they have an example there, but
It's
yeah.
a good example.
I,
Yeah.
I, what I normally do is I use variables to avoid that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Same.
definitely.
Yeah. I would. That's one of my big teaching guidances when I do these. Is if you're going to use anytime you use an if statement, or you start using the variables or vars to calculate your expressions first, because even in the calculate statement, right? If you're doing sum of a sales, if some sales is a certain number, and then you calculate it again in the true statement, sum again, it actually evaluates that sum statement twice. So by having a variable, we can then have it evaluate whatever that calculation is just once, and reuse the value in that if statement multiple times if needed.
Yeah.
Anything else that stood out to you guys?
When was the last time when you guys use usage metrics inside Power BI service? Just be
Ooh.
honest.
The usage metrics report?
Yeah.
So I've been playing with the Azure Premium Gen 2, and so the Gen
Mm.
2 now comes with a brand new app. So two things I'm doing, right? Usage metrics on reports, that's one thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's like usage
Yeah.
metrics in the service for premium. So I've been playing a lot with the Gen 2 reports that have been coming out. So that's what I've been playing with recently. So that's actually within the
Okay.
last couple weeks. And then on the flip side, I was playing with probably in the last 3 weeks, I was playing with usage on reports. And there's a new
Mm-hmm.
usage report out now. Or I think it was recently released, maybe February. But I've been playing with that, building a usage report on top of my entire tenant. And so I go in there, edit the report, and I take off the filters and make sure that it opens up for all my workspaces. But I fairly frequently, I mean,
Well,
this is important for us.
it, that is. I didn't know about that. Is there a user report for the whole tenant?
So you can go into the usage metrics of a single report, and when you go in
Yeah.
there, you can save a copy of it. And when you save a copy, you can go edit the filters And when you edit the filters, you can then remove the workspace ID from the filter criteria, and then now you get reports. Like it's a more comprehensive usage metrics across your multiple workspaces. I think that's right. Stephen, have you done that one?
Maybe
Yeah.
something changes, but that was only for the workspace, not the whole tenant.
Oh, maybe it's just in. Yeah, you might be right. It might be just in within the workspace. So it's one report in a workspace. Edit that one, remove the report filter, and then it gives you all the reports in the workspace. That's right. You're right. I get that backwards. I got confused on those two parts.
I start building my own usage metrics all about a whole Power BI service by the API. But today with a customer, I found very interesting stuff about usage metric on a report, because if you go there, you know that there are some bookmarks, so you can see usage on the pages, on users. And if you go inside the bookmark panel, you can remove the actual bookmark and you can find out that there is one hidden.
Ooh, I like this.
Just try to look there.
Okay.
I think you will find it.
I like how you're saying there's an Easter egg. Go find it. Ruiz, I can see he's already looking there right now. He's looking for it.
I'm already looking at it.
I like it. Where's the secret thing?
It's not possible to click on it from the report, but you can find it through this pane. I have prepared email to send it to Microsoft if it's really an Easter egg or if they're just
something new in there.
Forgot to add it to view.
I have a usage, but maybe I need to do it again because that one is
This will be fun. Well, so if anyone's
that's something that I've been working a lot lately. I have a session that I made last week around it, but I need to collect the data. So mostly I use PowerShell or an Azure function. Just made some Azure data factory to collect the data. So a lot of work. We need to collect the data.
Now, Rui, is that on your blog? Did you blog that one too? Because that's a really helpful topic. I mean, a lot of people now have Power BI. And they need to do more with the tenant.
But I can share. I will put the link of a session, and I can share the Power BI report.
Please do. We'll send the links out to everyone so they can get it.
It's something that I always say. If you are into Power BI and if you are in some way responsible for development or in some way responsible for a tenant, if you don't look at this data, you are literally driving blind. You are making the wrong decision.
Yes, you are.
I've seen situations where the customer are always requiring a mobile view on every Power BI developer, and then no one is using mobile in the company. So why are you spending money designing mobile views? Or worse, you need to make it aware to your end users that there is a mobile application they can use it. You can get all sorts of insights from that data. So
I have a similar story, Rui, to what you're talking about there, and so it's kind of the opposite effect. We have done a bunch of reports and we've published them to customers, and the customers are using the reports, and so we're actually migrating off of like Tableau and like Click, and there's a lot of other systems we're getting rid of, and in exchange we're going for Power BI. There wasn't a lot of good usage metrics on the previous reports, so now we're kind of looking at this now going, okay, well, let's figure out what's the right blend of reporting and what are people actually looking at. And we go into the report and we found there was one report people were using like 2,000% more than the other reports. We're like, oh my gosh, this is great. They love this report. What we found out was the developers, when they were building the application, there was a default report. When you click on the reports button, there was one report that they would always go to the same report, so because that was like the first report in the list. So it wasn't really the best report. It was just the one that we had the most use on because it was the default one. So, whoops. But again, you don't know what you're doing until you look at those reports, and you're starting to fly blind until you actually start getting real numbers about what's going on.
Yeah.
If you don't look at it, you are making, and if you have a medium to large for the implementation, you are making the wrong decision. So if you don't look at this, you are thinking, you are believing in things that are not actually correct. Actually, I start the session by saying, can you answer a couple of these questions? And if no, then it's be ready for a reality check. And I've seen some big reality checks, like the most used report is on a personal workspace of a power user.
Sure.
In a company with 1,000 users accessing
Yeah, that's like a big
day.
no-no. Like having the person, like one publishing a report out of your personal workspace and sharing it with the entire company kind of thing. That's like, you don't want that happening.
Yeah.
Cool.
I have one more Easter egg for you guys.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. What else you got?
Inside the Power BI admin, in Power BI service, you can find one more new settings.
I saw someone tweet that recently.
Okay, maybe someone was faster.
Well, I think it doesn't sound like it was announced anywhere though. It just kind of showed up in the admin settings.
Yeah, definitely it wasn't on any blog.
Yeah.
I just find it when I was there today and say, hey, wait, when it arrived.
Do you know what the name of that setting is, so we can just
Yes, block, republish, and disable package refresh.
Disable.
It's inside the dataset security.
Dataset security. Yep, I see it now.
Down below.
Yep.
And it's about if you want to disable or enable package refresh, and only allow the dataset owner to publish it.
So what does that mean? Like, there's not a lot of good description, and there's not a link that tells you what this is. Do you have you tried it? Did you turn it on or off? Like, what did it do?
I tried. It works with development pipelines. It means like, hey, I have there some kind of packages inside the development pipelines, and I'm the owner of it, so I can push it into the next stage.
Okay.
But only if it's enabled. So this can be easily managed if you have just one owner of development pipeline, so he can push everything.
Gotcha.
So not everyone.
Disable package refresh. So if I turn it, so by default it's in a disabled state. You have to go in and turn it on to enable it. So then when you're enabling the feature, it's saying you're blocking the refreshes for everyone except the owner of that data set.
Yes.
Interesting. And I'm looking at the feature right now. I don't see that typically there's like a resource group. Like you can do like, hey, turn it off for everyone, but only enable this resource group. It doesn't even, there's no like Active Directory grouping there either. It's just kind of there. You can't put an AD group against it. So maybe in the future they'll add some more features there for that. That'll be interesting. We'll have to keep our finger on that one, because that one's a new feature and I didn't see that blogged or talked about anywhere.
Yeah, I think we will see some kind of posts
coming out soon for that one.
Fast. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Very another Easter egg there. New stuff. And it's kind of hard, right? Keeping up with all the new things that are coming out all the time. There's always something else happening, and you kind of have to keep reading all the time to keep up with the speed of development. Speaking of speed of development, have you guys played with the new Playground, Power BI Embedded Playground?
I've tried just for a few moments. I really don't have that much time on this one, but I really appreciate it, because many from our customers just trying to figure out what Power BI Embedded means, and they never have any view how can try it. But in this particular moment, they can. And it was much more easier to manage what is capable.
So I'm really excited about this new, so when I looked at the new embedded playground. So you can get to it. I think it's also there's a couple ways. You can read the blog article and get to it there. I believe you can also go to playground.powerbi.com. So it's like a prefix to powerbi.com now. So I'll put that in that link in the chat window here. Um, when I looked at the examples that they have, it looks new. It's like all fresh. Most of the stuff that I saw in there was nothing. There's not a lot of new features that were showing up. It's just kind of more of like a new layout, a new look. It's a little easier to see some of the showcases. So all of the examples that they have are pretty much existing. So if you're a heavy Power BI embedded user, the look and feel of it is different, but the code didn't look like it was too far off from what it was originally. What I would say is a big plus for me, I do a lot of embedding for clients and things. If you go into the developer sandbox now, you can now edit the code as it's rendering the report down below. So there's like certain features where like, hey, I want to capture all the bookmarks on this page, or I want to make a new bookmark, or whatever that is. Well, now there's like a code block at the top of the page, and you can go in there now, actually now edit some of the JavaScript that is being run on the page to change how the report's rendering. So you can actually do some interesting things there. So I find this is hugely helpful for developers who are trying to build embedded. I'm happy that they're giving this some more love. I think there's a lot of clients and customers right now that are heavily trying to figure out Power BI embedded. And since you guys are here, there's also I've been working with a number of community people who are doing Power BI embedded. And Rui, I think you do a good amount with your company too, right? A little
Yeah.
embedded stuff. I'm throwing the link in the window here. I have started a Power BI global embedded user group. So I put it out on LinkedIn. I have a couple people out there following me, not a lot yet, but we're going to try and meet monthly, and we're going to try and do what is Power BI embedded, how do you use it, and just trying to build more of a community around the embedded space. Because actually, I reached out to Rui directly and said, hey, where's the Power BI embedded community? Like, is there a team of people? Is there something we can talk to in a channel? Like, what does this look like? And honestly, there's nothing at this point. It's kind of new to people. So I started a whole user group around just focusing in on Power BI embedded because I think it's a big need for the community at this point. So check it out. It's in the chat window for those of you who are checking out the video. Should be able to find that on LinkedIn. And hopefully we'll get a formal community group up and running. We'll do some more live YouTube videos around embedding, examples of embedding, how to use the embedded playground, all the kind of things that you need to do to get to like that next level.
Already started following.
Oh, yay. we have 9 users now. That's awesome.
Where did you put the link? On YouTube?
Yeah, it's on the YouTube channel.
On YouTube.
And generation 2 on Power BI embedded, it's a massive improvement.
Huge improvement.
Especially on those turn on, turn off scenarios and scaling. And now when you scale, there is no downtime, which is, for me, it's amazing.
And the whole there's been a whole mind shift difference in what was embedded Gen 1 versus now Gen 2. In Gen 1, it was very much around the memory, right? How large is the model from a memory standpoint? And now we look to Gen 2, and it's a lot less about the memory. It's a lot more about the number of cores you're getting. So how much compute do you need to have to run to make sure that model is up? And we've been testing in Gen 2 for probably about a month and a half or so on just some like development stuff that we've been working on. I really like it. I think it seems to be pretty solid. I like the higher thresholds. So previously if I had a 10 gig A SKU, I could put only 10 gigs total of RAM or model size into an A SKU. In Gen 2, every model can be 10 gigs in size. There's less of a restriction there. So I could have 10 models, but they're all running 10 gigs in size. So that's kind of a really interesting switch that the premium Gen 2 has done.
Yeah. Gen 2 is really changing the game, not only in embedded, but also on premium per user and premium. So the whole fact that you don't need to worry, I would say not worry, but you don't need to worry too much about memory. It's literally a game changer in the way you can. you use the Power BI, especially on those big data sets. Because in the past, in Gen 1, if you have a P1 node, you can only go to 25 gig of memory top. Of course, they will manage the evictions for you, but today you don't need to worry about it. You can put 120 gigabytes or 25 gigabytes data sets all running, and Microsoft needs to manage the memory.
I think that's smart. I can see, I don't think it's there yet, but I could see a day where, because now we're letting Microsoft manage the memory, right? So, and memory is more around which partitions I'm loading of my data model, right? So if you look at all the queries coming through, and I kind of like this idea where Microsoft manages more the memory portion for us, because at some point I can envision in my head they're not going to load the entire model, right? Why do I need to load every partition if like only the first 6 months of partitions are going to be used in my queries or built on top of my reports? So I can see a future version of Power BI where they're like dynamically loading partitions based on what the queries require in kind of a real-time format. So it's almost like a Spark engine, right? I have 100 partitions across 3 years, and if 90% of my queries are coming across the first 6 months, it's only going to load 6 months of partitions, run the queries super fast, and then when we get a query that comes in that's longer than that, like 2 years, right? Now I can come back and say, okay, I now need to load up these other partitions temporarily, run the query across them, and then if those queries stop happening, you can then kick that memory out of the partitions and let it be more efficient there. So I think if I can look down the road, that would be logically, I think, where they would want to be walking towards, right? For everyone's standpoint.
Maybe for a single table, it could be hard because in DAX, if you do a count, it needs to get all the data.
Sure.
So you can actually iterate the whole table very quickly, but at least between tables, that makes perfect sense. So if you don't query, so imagine that you have a model with 3 fact tables very big.
Yep.
So if you are not making any query to one of the fact tables, why does it need to be in memory?
Correct.
On the same table, that it's the next level of optimization. It kind of reminds me the world when in multidimensional they do that with aggregation. So you build aggregations, and then the aggregation, if you don't go
that's a really good point.
further down,
yeah,
you can also do the kind of the same
that's
thing. But
I didn't think about the aggregations portion, because if you add aggregations to this story, now you can even drop out more of the partitions potentially, right? The partitions are only needed when you do the aggregating portion, year-over-year sales, month-by-month sales. You could drop out a lot of partitions there additionally.
And you can do so. The most typical scenario of aggregations is between you have aggregation in import and then another table in direct query. But you can do aggregations with everything in import, and it will work. Of course, you will pay the memory for it.
Yeah.
But now the memory is cheap in Power BI, especially in premium per user. You have 100 gigabytes of memory available.
Exactly. Well, and Phil Seamark, so we had a Power BI user group, I think it was in February, where we had Phil Seamark come on and talk about all the different types of partitioning you can do, which blew my mind, honestly. There's like, I think about partitioning as like dates. 1 month of dates, and then other, you kind of like over time you have like aggregated tables. But there's a whole bunch of like situations where you can have ag tables that do all kinds of different things. There's actually a number of different patterns that run faster than others based on partitioning and how you run the aggregations across the top of it. It blew my mind how much Phil has put some time into this, but that was a really good session. It's on one of the YouTube channels. Look for I think it's called ag tables or something like that. But really good session around different patterns and aggregations, and it doesn't have to be time bound, essentially, which is kind of cool.
Session is from Christian.
Say that again.
The session is from Christian Wade.
No, I think it's from Phil Seamark on our user group. Let's see if I can find it real quick here. It's on Power BI Tips. It's on our YouTube channel.
Found it.
And then
aggregation table.
Ag tables with Phil Seamark. Ag tables, Phil Seamark. Power BI Tips. I think is it. I'll see if I can get the link here real quick. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, 3 months ago. So it was like this was like December timeframe is when he was doing it. I'll grab that link and just drop it here in the chat window too, just in case you want to check that one out. Cool. A lot of good discussion things here. I like the Easter eggs part.
So much session, so much. So nowadays, with the age of COVID, there's so much content available online.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's great. It's crazy.
Any other kind of features that stuck out to you across the different areas? I do want to point out one. For those of you who are using older versions of Windows, there is a call out on Windows 7 deprecation. Again, I don't know how many clients are actually on Windows 7, but I think that is kind of important to note that they are now stopping support for, I believe it's Power BI Desktop as of Windows 7. So just FYI, it's only on Windows 8.1 and newer versions of Windows. So just be aware of that. That's just something you want to be mindful of if you have older Windows versions laying around. I know some companies just haven't upgraded, but sounds like that's something that you want to be thinking about as your company moves forward with Power BI.
Another thing that is simple, but it's also, I like it. I don't know your opinion is on, and now when you click on the data set, it will jump to that dataset details page and not to the create report.
You mean in the service, right?
Yeah, in the service.
Yeah. I have noticed that as well, and I find that very interesting. I like the feature of it, honestly. There's a little tiny, so we were talking, Stephen, you were saying earlier about Easter eggs. There is an Easter egg inside that datasets area. And I don't know exactly how to do it. I haven't played with it enough. But apparently what you can do is you can go in there, and if you create a report that has the name template at the end of the report name and link it to your data set, and you publish that report, when you go to that create report or that data set page, you can now see create from template inside that page. So typically there's a button that just says create report. But if you have a template that's already there, and I think you just have to have the end of the file name, I guess, it has to be template, it'll then let you build from a template file the existing report on that data set, which I thought was kind of an interesting feature.
Yeah. Just a warning, because I got burned about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
So the customer had Power BI Premium.
Yep.
And I thought that this was going to work also with Power BI users without a Pro license. So the feature will appear, but when you try to create it from a template, because when you create from scratch, this will go to the My Workspace. So I thought that the from a template will also be available, but it's not, because when you click on from a template and you don't have a Pro license, it will ask you for the Pro license.
Oh, interesting. So, okay. So this is like a Pro user-only feature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if you create a report on My Workspace. So I was pretty happy about it, and
then not.
And then not.
Then my joy ran away.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. I feel like it's a good feature. I don't think it's quite thought out all the way there yet. Like I think we just need a little bit more refinement on the idea to get it right.
I would say, Mike, I think it's an awesome feature, because this will allow end users create reports with a template that you design for them online without going to the desktop, which is amazing.
Yeah,
so you can design a template with the company logos, with the company colors, and they can actually create a report online. And that's something that I'm always so for end users is way more easy than going to desktop and worry about publishing. It's not the best practice for developers, but when you are talking about end users that they just want to create a report,
you're not expecting the data model, right? Like these are the use case here is you're gonna just make an existing data model and you're gonna build visuals on top of it. You're not going to be the guy making new DAX measures. This is a pure self-service BI kind of thing.
I just want to create a report and share it with others as easy as you can. And you want to create it on a Mac. So
yes.
not everyone has a
Not
Windows,
possible.
And this was something that I was really excited at. So this was going to solve me a lot of headaches, especially with customers without Windows. And then I got bite after that.
So help me understand that one part. Like, what is it? Is it just the word template? So like, let's say I have like report name. Do I need like an underscore and then template.pbix? Like what has to happen to the name of the file that tells powerbi.com that it is in fact a template file?
In my experience, it just needs to have the word template.
Okay.
If it has a word template, it will work.
And it's at the end, right? Because it's got to be at the end of the name of the file, right? Or anywhere in the template. It could be template.report or something like that.
I'm not sure. I think it just needs to be template.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So I have one that is template with a parenthesis. And
oh, okay. Works. And it still caught it.
And it doesn't need to be on the workspace of the data set. So it needs to be, so you can actually have the template in another workspace than the data set, and use the shared data set to work.
Oh, so if it's, so you could have like a whole workspace of just like templates connected to connected data sets. So the data set can be in workspace A, the template can be in workspace B, and it still picks it up and figures out that it's related.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. That's a neat feature. I like that. What happens if you have two templates? Does it let you have a choice?
I think we will have to try.
We're going to try that one, right? We're already trying to break it. We just learned about it like in the last 10 seconds, and we're already figuring out, well, how would it break? Awesome. Cool, guys. I love it. Good discussion. So we're getting close on time here. Is there any other things? We'll probably wrap it and call it done. Any other kind of key features, anything other things you think that are relevant, things you'd want to throw out there and talk about?
I'm just thinking. I think everyone has to use a Graph API from Power BI. There are many different ways how to provide it. The easiest way, which has been provided by Microsoft documentation, is just to open Graph API and use OData connector from Power BI.
Yeah.
But I think it's not working since 2017.
Oh, wow.
So I've tried to manage it into the easier way.
Sure.
And I think I found for me, it's the easiest way. It was created the custom Azure app inside the Active Directory, set up the few roles, and created specific M measure, which can provide the Graph API.
Oh, cool. And so, what's your use case for the Graph API? Are you looking for like things like about like?
I'm trying to get all stuff about my users.
Okay.
With all the licenses around.
Sure.
Because we were building the whole company report, like. How to say it?
No, you're trying to figure out the English words. Like so it's like licenses for all the users, and say like, you know, if we have an E3 and an E5 on the same person, right? We're double paying for that person to have two licenses or whatever, or they're not using Power BI.
Power BI Pro.
Oh yeah, or Pro, yep, or premium per user now, because now there's like another whole setting somewhere where you can now trial a premium per user too, as well in there as well. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
In the session that I shared, I also use the Graph API exactly for that, to get the licenses, and then you can answer a question like, do I have any users with a paid license without any activity in my tenant?
Oh, good point.
Why I'm paying that license?
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense.
It's and the Graph API. It's you have a lot of data, useful data there. You can get data from the users, from the licenses, from the actual subscriptions that you buy in your tenants. And when you mix this with a usage, in this case the Power BI usage, you can make some smart decisions.
So this is a session you're going to do, or you already did it, Rui?
No, I've done it. I shared in the chat. I have the.
I gotta go find the chat. Oh, I see it here.
It's on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, excellent. I'm gonna put that in the chat of this one, so we have it there as well. Ah, here it is. I got it. I have it there. Okay, sweet. I'll grab the link for that one. Here's Rui's link for admin
and
stuff.
Just drop me an email and I will share the scripts and the party I found.
We have there a question.
I need to write a blog, but I'm too lazy.
We have there a question on YouTube.
Yeah.
Where you have Active Directory groups, which you have workspace role, and you want to see all the individuals into these roles. I'm not really sure if this can be provided by Graph API, but if you just simply go for API of Power BI service, you have all workspaces there and all users inside it.
Rui, have you done in your session? Do you go through the admin APIs too and go grab like all users who are attached to a workspace? Is that something that you have in your data set as well?
Yeah, I use mostly two APIs. It's all admin APIs. I use the scan APIs, the new ones, where you get the everything from workspaces, datasets, reports, and I also use the activity APIs. For the users, that data is not on the scan API, so you need to actually do the whole API version where get groups with expand users, and that will give you the mapping between workspaces and users.
Gotcha.
And on the report, I also have that page.
You mentioned the scan API. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with the name of the scan. Is that just the admin API? Is that what you're just talking about there?
Oh, no. It's one of the admin APIs. I call it scan. Maybe it's not the right name because you are doing scans. So you can, and it's a massive improvement over when you want to scan the whole tenant, because before you need to get all the groups and then you can expand it.
You have to go like one group at a time.
I will give you an example. I have a tenant with 10,000 workspaces, a customer with 10,000 active workspaces.
Yeah.
In the past, to scan that tenant, it would take like 1 hour. Today, it runs in seconds.
Wow.
Why? Because the first time, it takes a couple of minutes. It's faster than the old one, but then you can call it with a timestamp and ask, okay, give me only the changes since last time.
Okay.
Nice.
Is this the one workspace info get scan result? Is that kind of the one you're looking at? Or
it's a combination. It's a combination. So you have an API that will get the workspaces with modifications, and then you have another API that you can ask, okay, give me the scans, do a scan for this workspace, and then you have another API where you can just be looping and asking, okay, is the scan done yet? Is the scan done yet?
Yep.
And then you get the result. But it's blazing fast.
Cool.
Especially on the data sources, because in the past, if you want to get a relationship between data sets and data sources, the call to get the data sources was like 3 seconds per data set. So imagine if you have 1,000 data sets, it will take a lot of
forever time.
Today, you get this data like that. It's blazing fast.
Dang, I didn't even know about that.
And there will be I'm not sure that I'm allowed to say this, so I won't say it.
Don't say it.
I will say that
I don't want to graduate you.
Big new. There will be something very big in the next couple of weeks on those APIs.
Way to tease us.
Awesome.
I love it. So new good things coming for APIs, it sounds like. So there's going to be a lot more APIs that are out there and usable for us.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Good to know that one. I don't want you to graduate, Rui, from an MVP. Let's keep the NDA stuff under wraps there.
I didn't say that.
I know you did good. You did good.
Just saying. Just be excited.
There's good stuff coming.
I can tell you that my head was blown away with this. So, but I'm a guy that likes this monitoring thing.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
maybe not so special for everyone, but
Well,
for me too, it is.
I think it's getting better and better. I think it's getting even more and more fun to get into like all who's using what reports and making smart decisions off of that. I liked your example of looking at all the users through the Graph API and then comparing that with users in workspaces and hey, these people aren't using a pro license, like that's saving you $10 per month per user. Just turn them off. They're not using the program. So that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Love it. Well, you now have intrigued me. I'm gonna have to go spend some time looking at the scan APIs and trying to see what those look like and how I can use them as well. One thing that I should encourage both of you guys on, we should start thinking about. I don't know if you guys use Postman. Do you guys use Postman to kind of play with the APIs? So
Yes.
we have to band together as an MVP group. I know they have a scan like you can use the APIs in Microsoft's API documentation, but I really want like a library, a single library of all the APIs and like inside Postman, right? So I can have like a one notebook download. Maybe we should start a little Git repo where we start building out just all the calls that Power BI gives you, and I'll making it easier for people to kind of get into that notebook because I know that Postman, which is I think a Google product, is like designed around testing and getting data out of API calls. And that's really how I learn how all these API calls work. I'll make a sequence of calls, get a token, render a report, all those kind of things, and I'll use Postman to help me understand that. So maybe we should all talk together and start building out a library of really cool stuff there.
I think we can. I think it would be excellent.
Well, I've already got a couple calls that I figured out in the embedding space. I'm sure you guys have calls like the scan. Again, I've never even heard of the scan one, so that would be a good one to see some documentation on or put it in there because that sounds like I should be using it if I'm not already. Cool, guys.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we are right around time. I will say thank you very much. I definitely loved the conversation. It was a smaller group this week or this month. I loved it. I thought it was really good. We found plenty of things to talk about. And again, I just like seeing you guys. We don't get to go to conferences anymore, and I can't see you in person. So I just enjoy seeing your smiling face and having some fun talking about really nerdy things that like very few people like to do. So I like having weirdos like me around. So I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next month, hopefully.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it. All right, bye.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.